Hello viewers, and welcome to another edition of the Book Review Blog. Today we're going to review the book Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. It just so happened that once this book became published in early June, so roughly about a month ago, I put myself on the waiting list at my library, and they informed me that my turn was up and that I could get the book. So because of course I'm doing Stephen King books chronologically, so if you're looking for Mr. Mercedes and like what I'm doing, please look at my other Stephen King reviews and like my page and subscribe to my page and leave me a comment if you'd like. So yay. So let's get started. This book is, it's very not like other Stephen King books. I mean, there's nothing like supernatural about it. This is one of those that it could really happen, and which is in itself kind of a horror thing as well. It starts with a scene with a city center, kind of like a shopping center or like a big pavilion, I guess, if you will, and there's a job fair. And so you see like different, or you hear different conversations of different people waiting for jobs, because this is written in, the late 2000s. I think it's supposed to take place in 2009. So, I mean, Stephen King does put in, the recession and the job loss and everything like that. So, so then there's these people waiting for jobs, and then all of a sudden they see this Mercedes pull or like zoom in, and this Mercedes crashes into this city center, killing 8 and injuring 15 or more. But I know at least 8 are killed. And so now you are fast forward 6 months or a year, and there's a detective who is retired. His name is Bill Hodges, and he is retired 6 months. So he was on the force when this incident at the city center took place, and the newspapers and everybody that was involved in this deemed the person or the killer the Mercedes killer, because obviously he was driving a Mercedes, and he's not known. He got away. He was wearing a mask when he did it, so there was no identification, and the car left, obviously, so they could never find the car at the time. But then they eventually found the car, and it was registered to a woman named Olivia Trelawney, who said that her car was stolen, obviously, by this Mercedes killer. And so she reported the car stolen, but they were like, well, where was the key? And she was saying, well, no, he didn't use a key. There was no spare key involved. So this was very odd. And so he goes along with this, and then, but as a treat for the reader, you also get into the mind of the killer. The reader knows who it is right away. His name is Brady Hatsfield, and he's a man about 30, I'd say, like late 20s, early 30s, and he lives with his mother, and he does 2 jobs. His original job, or his day job, is he is a service provider for, I'm assuming, like a Best Buy, let's call it, because like they do go on calls and do like IT things like that. So every time that he didn't say Best Buy exactly, but every time that he mentioned his job, and mentioned that they drive along in little Beetles, I've always imagined like the Geek Squad Beetles. So anyway, but so that is actually how Brady Hatsfield got to know Olivia Trelawney and got this idea in his head, was that Brady Hatsfield was her IT guy, and he got into her computer because he's like a computer genius where he knows everything about computers and all that. And so again, you learn about him, and you learn about more about Bill Hodges. And because it's a cat and mouse game, you know, it's one of those like mystery crime novels. If you're interested in that, where, you know, Bill is all like, Brady is always one step ahead of Bill in a way, but they're getting like ever so close. And one of the things is that Brady gets in contact with Bill, and first by a letter, saying that he doesn't exactly, you know, of course, confess who he is. He doesn't say, my name is Brady Hatsfield and I'm the Mercedes killer and this is how I did it or why I did it. But he kind of wants to get into Bill's head, and he invites Bill onto a website called Under Debbie's Blue Umbrella. And it's a place where you can go and you can chat. It's kind of like a chat room idea. Like you can, you know, open up new things like private messages, and, you know, you can do whatever on these. But Bill and Brady eventually just kind of have a conversation through them, and it's Brady is of course goading him and saying, oh, you're never going to catch me, but here's kind of clues, but they're elusive clues, and things like that. But one of the things that you need to know about Brady is that he lives with his mother, like I said, and they have a very weird relationship. It's where he loves his mother, and there are some kind of gross stuff that's involved in that. There was a couple points with their story that's scary that I didn't like about it. Brady had a little brother named Frankie, and Frankie, when he was about 2 or 3 years old, he choked on an apple slice, but he was okay. But because he suffered a loss of oxygen for, you know, so long, when he came back, he was brain damaged. And so, and his brain damage, you know, caused a big rift in his family, where, you know, his mother, who was a single parent, had, you know, couldn't survive financially with this child, and so basically they like killed Frankie. Like Frankie had a fire truck that he loved, and it went down the stairs, and they were like, look, Frankie, your fire truck went down the stairs, and they like gave him a push down the stairs. So I mean, I thought that was awful, but it's just a horror or horrible thing that, you know, could be written about. Anyway, Brady, even though Brady tells Bill, I will not do any more kills like I did with the Mercedes killer, he gets it in his head that he is going to do one last kill or one last thing, and it's basically a kamikaze mission or a suicide bomber, where he straps plastic explosives to himself, and he goes into a big, you know, concert pavilion where a fictitious boy band is playing. So he knows that he's going to kill thousands of young girls and their mothers and things like that. Again, this kid has mommy issues and women issues, so which you know about if you read the book. And so that's kind of the whole or the second half of the book, I guess, is that Bill is, along with a couple of friends, is trying to figure out what Brady is going to do next and to eventually try and stop him. And I'm not going to tell you if he stops him or not. I want you to read the book. I liked it. Again, it was not, you know, a normal Stephen King, like, supernatural things. I mean, this could happen. One of the things that could be disturbing, or, like, to you, is when I was reading this, I really got really kind of brought back to what happened last year with the Boston Marathon massacre. Even though again, they used a different form of explosive, but it was kind of like that, and it kind of mentioned like 9/11 and like suicide bombers. So again, this is something that's happening a lot more in a real time right now. I mean, and actually Stephen King started writing this book before the Boston massacre, so this wasn't in response to that, or it wasn't. He didn't think of the idea because of that. It just happened to be a creepy coincidence, is what he called it. So anyway, there's that book. My next book that I'm going to review is the Stephen King book Rose Matter. So again, if you like what I've said about this book, and if you like my reviews, please subscribe to my page and leave me a comment if you'd like. And I bid you all farewell and happy reading.